Good evening. Well, I mean, it's evening for us. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening for you all. My name is FireDriven, and my co-host here, Cole T. And this is the Fiery Excellence podcast. This podcast took a minute for it to, go up or for it to be installed, but we're here now, and we're just kind of get into it. So.
Hey, it's
Um,
there, Carlos. It's there. We're there now. So there's more to go. There's more to work on. As far as topics, if anybody has topics they'd like to have discussed, it's more than welcome to introduce those to us. It's a long road, and we're ready for it.
Yeah, exactly. So, like I said before, my name is FireDriven, and my co-host here, his name is Cole T. This is the Fiery Excellence podcast. Before we start, I'd just like to give you like the introduction to Fiery Excellence, why we decided to call it that, why it's been cultivated that way. So the Fiery Excellence podcast, the name actually came from the theme in which I do, because I own a Twitch channel, and the Twitch channel's name is FireDriven. Much like the YouTube channel that this will be posted on, we will be getting a Fiery Excellence podcast YouTube channel here soon. But for now, it's going to be going on the FireDriven YouTube channel. The theme for FireDriven is, as you can tell, fire. That's kind of the drive. It's you're motivated. The fire, the fire motivates you, which is kind of the metaphor that I was looking for, and that's why we named it Fiery Excellence.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah,
Mine's just Cold C.
Yeah. I mean, you're lucky it's not called Torres 2003, because
there you go.
That's an iconic
That was my name for a long time. Yes.
So, and a little bit of backstory between me and Cole. Me and Cole have been kicking it for like 3, maybe 4 years now.
Yeah, it's been definitely a couple years now.
Yeah. So, I mean, me and him have known each other for quite some time, and in my opinion, I believe we're the best of friends.
Something like that.
Something like that. So, without further ado, would you like to introduce our guest?
Yes, our guest today is he on the show? Did we welcome him in from the backstage?
Nah, he's in the backstage right now. I thought you wanted to do the little introduction before it came out.
Go ahead, you can do it.
Okay. So, our guest here, his name is Nick. He's also one of our dear friends in our little clique, I guess you could say.
If you say so.
He has helped us out with a lot of things. We do a lot of things together. And he actually helped us plan out the Fiery Excellence podcast, and specifically today. So, without further ado, I welcome Nick into the studio. Welcome Nick.
Welcome.
Thank you, Carlos. Thank you, Cole.
Great to have you here.
You can just give a brief synopsis of yourself if you want to.
Who are you, Nick?
Well, my name's Nick. I usually go by Mr. Impossible. I got that name, ironically, by watching Mr. Beast. I know it's kind of corny, but I was trying to find something towards his name, and I was like, Mr. Impossible. So there's a whole backstory, and I.
But with Mr. Beast, nothing's impossible, huh?
Yeah, I guess so. So I guess
that does a little bit of everything.
But yeah, I met Carlos probably 2 or 3 years ago, probably more so 2, and I think we've been get along sometimes.
I'm a hard person to get along with.
That's
clearly.
how it goes. That's how it goes with him.
So yeah, I've known both of these kind individuals for quite some time, and I'm happy. I'm happy to say that they are my close friends, and that they are also the co-hosts of this podcast. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the podcast, gentlemen. So the Fiery Excellence podcast. This is episode number 1, of many more to come, actually. So the topic today is love is drawn out. Now, I wrote a couple topics down that might be a little bit controversial, so you guys got to help me not dissect, but I want to hear your guys's.
Break
I
into
want to hear
them.
what you guys have to say. So, I've already sent a copy of my notes to both of the individuals on the podcast. They read it, they've looked at it, and they're gonna express their thoughts after I give a brief explanation of what's to come. So, gentlemen, do you have anything before we start?
Go ahead, dig into it.
So, I came up with this topic, love is drawn out, due to the simple fact that I'm doing some things in my life, that I mean, it's not really complicated, but I'm in a little relationship right now, and it kind of gets a little wonky in the workplace. So
Let me stop you there. You look for wonky, but that's where you found it. Because when you put workplace and relationship together, that's where you messed up.
Look, okay.
Because
All right.
let me tell a little story there. I had a great friend that I went to high school with. Played baseball with him. He just became a really close friend. Went fishing with him. Did a lot with him. And well, we both worked at Target Corporation, so one of the Target stores, as front end, guest advocates. And this new girl gets hired, and very pretty, very nice girl. And first thing he does is, he's hitting on her, he's talking to her, and what brews is a relationship in the workplace. And I I have no issues with it. I think it's great. You get to spend time with each other, but when is enough enough? I mean, um, you're in the workplace with them, then you go home with them, and then you spend time out of work and out of home with them, and I think you just get tired of them. But
Listen, I gotta stop you right there. I gotta stop you right there because I think that love in the workplace is a cultivation or a step towards marriage. You know what I mean? Because
I
you're with your partner like almost every day, 90% of your day.
eh, yeah, I don't know. I need time to fish and stuff, so no. But they were a great relationship, and then kind of just took a dive downhill, um and I was close friends with the girl, and I was really close friends with the guy that I went to high school with, and now I'm close friends with both of them, and they hate each other's souls. So, um, they both, well, one of them quit their job at Target because they just couldn't stand to be around the other person, and that's what it came to in a workplace relationship. I wouldn't have quit my job over it, but
Yeah.
I guess you got to do what you got to do,
Yeah.
I got my own issue in regards to work in the work or relationship in the workplace, and this is back when I worked in a retirement home, and that sounds bad at the start, but let me finish. Right?
Sounds
So,
like you was dating old people in that place.
listen, I worked in a restaurant inside of the retirement place,
Oh, okay.
and
Makes it a little bit better.
yeah, do my job right, and this girl started working there, whatever. So, we just kind of lay eyes on each other, whatever.
Oh.
And then eventually, I asked her out, and was like, "Okay, we're good. We're going, we're dating, we're doing our thing." And in a retirement home, especially in a restaurant full of people, right, that can cause some issues because there's wires going back and forth between tables,
Oh my
oxygen
God.
tanks, life
Not the
support,
retirement home.
Yeah, when you have a restaurant in the retirement home, you got everybody on life support.
all the things. Right, you really gotta pay attention where you walk because there's oxygen, there's life support, there's everything, right? There's even catheters, which I don't know if you know what they are, but it's basically a thing attached to your hip, and your poop goes through the tube and into a tank.
Oh no.
Oh, you
So
don't want that to
those
bust
No.
open.
tubes are. So basically, right, let's just say I almost killed a person because I saw her. I looked over. I was just staring, and I kept walking and walking. I had a tray of food in my hand, taking it to the table, and she didn't see me at first, but she looked up, and when you get the sun in your eyes, you're like, oh shit, right? or her eyes, bro, looked at me. Whew. Anyway, I was
You know,
walking.
you're desperate when you almost kill somebody to get their attention.
Bro, I stepped on it. I stepped on it. When I tell you I jumped, that old lady had the quickest reaction of her life.
Yeah, you jumped, she jumped, everybody jumped.
See, that's where it draws me into the phrase that workplace relationships are no good, because I have the story where somebody had to quit their job and they no longer talk to each other, and you have the story where you almost stepped on an old lady's oxygen cord and killed her trying to get somebody's attention.
See, look, I don't have any of those problems, okay?
I stepped on it. She swung her hand back, slapped my leg.
I'd have swung my hand back too if I couldn't breathe.
I would have swung a little bit more in my hand. Look.
I'd have swung harder.
And last thing, there's another time where I was in the back room, and me and her were hugging each other, and I was when I tell you I heard first steps coming in, I almost knocked down the whole dang fridge. I jolted back so dang fast into the metal freezer, bro.
And the
I almost
manager
fell
coming.
off the wall. Ooh, that was something. That was something.
Manager was on duty.
Yeah, we all have our issues with that. So
I've personally had no personal issues with workplace relationships. Just it kind of brought me in close when I had those two of my good friends kind of part ways, and they were both kind of like, oh, well, whose side you taking? And I'm like, well, I'm friends with both of you. I'm not taking anybody's side. So
yeah. So stories aside, that's basically what the idea of the topic of the podcast came from. Now, dissecting a little bit, I have this quote, and the quote is from somebody, but my father quoted it to me when I basically brought it up to him. And the quote is basically, love is drawn out, meaning drawing water from a well, meaning love is drawn out by the acts of said person. So acts of closeness, acts of kindness, acts of sorts of gratitude and all that stuff. And that's one piece of the meaning love is drawn, or the word, or the title love is drawn out. And I kind of just wanted to pull from that a little bit, because I kind of want to do 3 parts in this, but I also want to say all of them in this podcast, because why not?
Yeah, you could just say all of them. We could just continue to speak on them more as we see fit. What do you mean by love is drawn out by, when I read love is drawn out by acts of the person loving kindness? What do you mean by drawn out by these acts?
So say for instance, okay, so if I'm out in the store or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And I see the person that, she's pretty, that stuff. And I want to show some acts of kindness and stuff. And that's what draws a person into someone, in my opinion, because that's what I would want someone to do to me.
Your personality.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think personally that personality is a big factor. But that's when you jump into the topic of what personality is real. Because like you're saying here, if you're doing this act of kindness in the store for this lady because she's pretty and she's cute, would you not do that same act for this little old lady that needs help? Because you're not gonna get into an intimate relationship with this old lady, but is that your personality to do something like this for somebody, or is it just you putting on a mask trying to pull this person in?
Right.
Because
I also think
I've started reading this book called Dating a Narcissist by Dr. Teresa J. Covert.
Yeah, you told me about that one.
And you caught my eye when you said that, because one of the main things in this book is these narcissists put on a mask in the form of their personality to get these people to like them and want to be around them. And then when they've been in a relationship for a while, that all changes. That all it kind of goes away, and it leaves the person that's in a relationship with them so confused on where their personality went.
Yeah. I think that most times it depends on the person, and that actually brings us to the second point in the podcast. Actually, um, love takes a long time to cultivate. Now, the acts of kindness, yes, that's the start of it, but you also have to have that type of bonding and that type of or that level of relationship with said person, because honestly, starting off dating, sometimes you have to get to know the person, so like you befriend them and
Yeah,
then you move
sometimes,
things
yeah,
on to a relationship.
I think it just depends on the person. I've seen people that have been in relationships that, get married very early, and they've been married, 20, 30 years. I guess some people just click.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely depends on the person.
So yeah,
Um,
the person that you're with, definitely.
yeah, exactly.
I totally
But then
agree.
you
I think
also
I
get
think
those.
nowadays,
What was that?
good.
No, you got it. You got it.
Okay, I think nowadays, I think relationships are definitely based off of, especially in the age group of adolescence, high
Mm-hmm.
school, middle school, stuff like that. I think it's definitely based off of what kind of cliques you're part of, like your social status, things like that.
Yeah.
I
Exactly.
think
Mm-hmm.
I
It's
think
not
that's
based off your
what.
personality. It's based off what you got.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
I disagree sometimes. I disagree to that point to an extent. Because for the most part, if you're in that little goth group, it's not based on what you got. It's based off of the people that you're around and people that you're hanging out with every now and then. Because in high school, you got the people, you got the people who want to be popular, like those quote popular kids. But
Yeah.
then you
Mhm.
also got the other groups, like the I don't know if you guys had like JROTC, but you have the
Yeah.
JROTC
The
kids, you got
jocks,
the
the band
yeah,
kids.
exactly, the jocks, the band kids, the goth kids, like the people that want to be left alone. It's
Yeah,
all those types
exactly.
of peoples that group together and that click together, and that's what I think makes a good relationship, because that
Are
person
you
is
saying are you
expressing the
saying
same
when you're
interest.
are you saying when you're in that same group?
I'm saying I think that it's based off of the person that expresses in your same interest. Because,
Cuz
if
cuz
you're in
then
that
cuz then
jock
you're
group,
cuz then you're kind of contradicting the phrase opposites attract here.
I mean, so be it. But I mean, so be it, because I believe in I believe okay, so I believe in the fact that, opposites attract, but I also believe in and same personality likes the same type of person, because I
Yeah.
like people with my personality.
You know, I really don't know how accurate that is, cuz I mean, I know people with all kinds of personalities, and I wouldn't stick to a personality same as mine. I mean, um I think you have to like the personality, you have to like what they do, because I mean,
Yeah.
there's some people who their personalities, I mean, they're this they might be this toxic person, or this not open-minded person, and somebody who's open-minded, might not like that. They want somebody who they can understand well. Um, but I know people who have, like loud, open personalities, and they've been with people that are condensed and quiet.
Hmm.
And it's strange, but it's worked out for them, and maybe they just enjoy that.
I
Because
think.
if
Sorry.
yeah, I wouldn't. I just personally wouldn't. I don't see everybody go for somebody in their same friend group. I don't see band kids with band kids. Um, maybe
I
at
mean,
some
there's a
points.
short few, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, it. What I'm going to talk about next is the subconscious. If you don't know what that is, it's basically things that you do that you're not necessarily aware of, quote unquote. Just
Hmm.
something like your normal routine, waking up,
Yeah.
breathing, blinking, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But in the realm of love and relationship, right? It's like I can agree with what Carlos said, how you want someone with your personality, quote unquote. And I kind of agree with that because there's this. I believe that you people want the same personality as them in their spouse or significant other. subconsciously. So they're not actively looking for that personality, but that's the type of personality that attracts to them. Like my one of my friends, he's very challenging. Like, oh, say I won't. Like, oh, say I won't do it. I'll do it. Whatever. But he told me before that he likes people who challenge him, and I'm like, okay,
Okay.
well,
I
I'm like,
remember, yeah, I
you do the
remember
same
those
thing.
kind of kids.
So I'm just saying, like for me, I want a person who's like a first responder, who's at least interested in that type of stuff, in the
Supports you.
medical field and stuff. First
Exactly.
responder.
Supports you.
Supports you. Yeah, that brings to a big topic. Supports you, because I mean,
hmm
is there a lot of people who supports first responders? I mean, it's really slimming down, I think.
But
So
and not even just supporting first responders,
No,
but
that's generalizing it open to the
yeah,
bigger aspect. It's supporting you in what you do, supporting you in what you enjoy.
exactly. And not a lot of people can set aside their own um what am I thinking of? What's the word for it? Set aside their not beliefs, but
opinions.
yeah, opinions, I guess. Not a lot of people can set aside their own opinions for to take the time to care about someone else's, whatever they like or whatever they like to do, that type of stuff. And
Not
that's
focusing on their self.
exactly
Yeah,
a
they
lot of yeah.
self-minded.
That brings it towards the book that you read. What is it? Not being a narcissist.
Yeah, that's one of the factors of being a narcissist, just being revolved around yourself. And I think that's where it boosts into the higher aspect of your ego. Where's your ego at? Because a lot of narcissists view people not equal to them. They're not
Mhm.
as they're not as popular as them. They're not um, as some would say it, like handsome or pretty as them. They're not up in their scale, in their area.
Yeah,
They see him as a lower standard. And I think a lot of problems with relationships is one person in the relationship can't lower their ego enough for the other person, or vice versa.
exactly. Exactly. Speaking to the choir here in the Fire Excellence podcast. Speaking to the choir. Okay. So that's that. Yeah. So we've covered the drawn out by the acts of the person. We've covered the love takes time to cultivate itself. Um,
Sometimes, yeah.
yeah, in certain situations, yeah.
Oh,
Um, what's up?
real quick. In regards to the love takes a long time to cultivate, it just kind of jogged my memory. I think a lot of people want someone, how we talked about, support them, but they also want someone who they can talk to on their own personal issues. And I think some
Communication.
people, yeah,
Hmm.
communication. Some people find someone and they don't get along at first, but then they develop a relationship and then they get into it. If you're both interested in on like more of my aspect of things, my concept of things, if we say we're both firefighters, we're both EMTs, we're both cops, we know what each other is going through, and we can both talk about the same thing because we're both experiencing the same thing, so we can each
Exactly.
help each other get through it. And I think that's a pretty important part on kind of connecting, so you guys can get through it together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And drawing back
Communicate.
to ego, I think that's where a lot of people sometimes bump heads. Is if you find somebody in that same field as you or with that same interest as you, and your ego's high up there, you're bumping heads like you know more about that
Because they're trying to be
certain.
better than them.
Yeah, exactly. You're
Hmm.
trying to be better than your partner,
They're
which isn't
afraid
what
to
it should
they're
be
afraid to ask
about.
for help and stuff, and
You should just
afraid
be
to talk.
making each other stronger. But I mean, um, what were you saying about support or communication? I'm sorry, like FireDriven was saying, communication is key. You got to be able to communicate with each other, because there's going to be points. Everybody argues. There's going to be points where you don't agree on things, and if you can't communicate about it, I mean, where are you going to get with it? It's just going to stay an argument.
Exactly. And speaking to the ones that don't really like, it takes a long time for you to be able to express your feelings to one person, because I'm one of those people. It takes a long time for me to, bond with a person by way of expressing feelings and such. And that's something that I've really been working on, especially now that because I was discharged from the military. So especially now that I'm back from the military and such, it's kind of hard to express feelings or even share my thoughts about certain things because it's been a lot. So
And was
Also,
that
not a lot of people have been through, I guess, what you've been through.
exactly? But was that just curious? Was that from the military, or do you have prior relationships that you think might have caused that might have closed you off to that, where you don't feel comfortable anymore?
no, it's not a relationship, and it's not necessarily from the military. That type of feeling and that type of being closed from the outside, actually came from like childhood experiences.
Oh,
Um,
that's where a lot of people get it from.
yeah, because and I'll say it on the podcast because why not? Um, because I lost my mom at the age of 5 due
Yeah,
to some traumatic things that I won't say that. Um, and I basically had to grow up at the age of 5. Um,
on your
basically
own.
taking care of myself, taking care of my brother, and just being the person that he looks to. And
Yeah,
then my grandmother took us in, and she really cared for us and everything. But that comes from a place, and I was like very emotional. Well, I wasn't really emotional. I was a 5, but that was an emotional time for me and my family. And then the
I
second time was the death of my grandfather, and we were really close. And
yeah
that's where I shut everything down because it took me like 2 weeks to get over his death. Like I was bawling out tears, and that's
yeah.
basically where I just shut down. Like,
And that makes me curious of how that affected you in relationships, because I could say, I relate to FireDriven very closely. I didn't grow up with my parents. My grandparents took me in,
mm-hmm,
basically when I was born, from a young age, and
yeah,
I think I missed out on a lot of things you do with parents. I didn't have that mother son tie that a lot of people have,
mm-hmm,
or that father son tie that a lot of people have. And I think that's why I connect so well with people's parents. Is I think I always wanted that connection with.
you draw close to the things that you like or
Yeah,
things that you would want to have.
That
I
you
always
don't
wanted
have.
that connection with I wanted a mother son connection. When I see
Mm-hmm,
people have that connection with their mom, um, it doesn't. I mean, yeah, it used to hurt me. It used to, put me in tears.
exactly.
Just not so
Yeah.
much anymore. Now, um, it's just kind of something that I see, and I'm like, wow, that's great that they have that kind of connection with their mother, or that kind of connection with their father. That's something that I always wanted, and I think that I do miss at times. But everything was for the best. I love living with my grandparents. They've done so much to support me and to
Mm-hmm,
motivate me.
yeah.
Um, I even know in regards to the traumatic experiences and stuff. Even though at the time we kind of are in a hole that we can't really dig up yet and get out of because we're going through this whole process or this whole traumatic these whole traumatic events. But I think if you think about it from a far stance, those experiences, I believe, for most people, set us up for what how we're like, or what we want to do in our career or later on in life. For
Mm-hmm,
example, if what you go through as a kid might affect how you are as an adult. Like for example, my my grandmom died. So we're actually going to my grandfather's funeral, and my grandmother died while we were away. Um, my grandmother was watching my little brother, and we were going to my grandfather's funeral, and we came back, and she was deceased. But and that sort of set me forward to the fire and EMS. Now I'm a firefighter working to be EMS,
Because
and
you want to save people from
I want to
death.
stop people from having to go through what I went through.
From what you
Yeah,
went through,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
And one other thing is I'm sort of going towards law enforcement and trying to get certifications in that realm because there are some domestic issues and stuff like that. I want to stop. So
Yeah.
Exactly. And that just kind of ties back to that topic of love. I mean, does that affect relationships, the traumatic experiences that people have gone through?
I think it has a big factor in that.
I think it does. I think it does change the view of how relationships operate between two people. But that moves on. Moving on to that kind of that third topic, I'll take FireDriven's place in saying it. Love only takes place if you've been in a relationship for a long time. And
Mhm.
I actually spoke to FireDriven before we started the podcast here, because I read over this and it even says, antonym of love at first sight. And I told him, I said, well, that brings contradicting views in here, because Carlos wrote, or FireDriven wrote this as if he supports it. And then I was kind of like, I don't 100% agree with that. Because I don't think, I really don't think it's about the duration of the relationship. Like I said, I think it's about the personality and how well you two click, how well you two support each other, how well you two communicate with each other. Because I think those are really big factors: communication, supporting each other, and just that general enjoying to be around each other.
I agree. I wrote that down just so that we can kind of get into like the the points and the topics and stuff, and discussions for debate or whatever. I agree with that statement. However, like I do feel like you have to be not really a long time, meaning like 4 years for you to be in a relationship, but I do think that you do need to take the time to actually get to know the person before you actually establish a relationship with said
Definitely.
person.
And I think partially that's what society has come to. I think that it's not maybe what it started out as, but it is what it's at now. I think people are so scared of opening up to other people in the generalization of being hurt and um, being harmed in the form of a relationship, that they're so scared of the term love at first sight. I mean, is that really even a thing anymore? Because people are so scared of being hurt and so scared of being um, uh, hurt by somebody they care about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, because and I think that's also a thing with society is that people have been hurt so many times that they're sick of trying. The trying to establish relationships and the trying to establish communications with that person that you find interest in. I think it really hurts some people and their past relationships. Past relationships hurt the person.
Affects the present ones.
Yeah, exactly.
I think
And
that some of the traits that people pick up in past relationships might be carried into new relationships that they encounter and that they go into, and that doesn't always work. It doesn't always click with the other person. Go ahead, Nick.
I what was I gonna talk about? What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, about finding the motivation or finding the drive to do something. Um, I think has a lot to do with other people or other people on how they I guess support you in you trying to do what you want to do. Because say you're trying to do something, and for example, I was trying to move forward with something. I won't say it, but I was trying to move forward with something, and I was getting called quote unquote insane because and there would be like, oh, the definition of insane or insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result. So
Hmm.
if you're trying to get in a relationship with someone over and over and over and over and over again, expecting a different thing to happen each time. Some people are going to call you insane, but to you, you're only trying to achieve what you want to achieve. So it's kind of hard
Yeah,
on
you're trying to click.
social, social, social opinion, I guess.
And I read something that's kind of similar to that in a book, and it was something about like in regards to love, they used it in the form of snakes, and they were like, a snake sheds its skin only for new skin to come in, where like those traits go away only to pull you in, and then those toxic traits will come back. And if you're attempting to make that work over and over again, maybe it just won't. But that brings me to a topic that I wanted to talk about in regards to how love at first sight has kind of changed. Technology. What kind of factor do you guys think technology has played into that? Like the Snapchat, the Instagram, um, the technology in general, being able to, at so easily at the snap of a finger, um, cheat on somebody, or
Oh yeah.
just how easy it is now. But do you think technology is the problem, or do you think, the human race in general is the problem for doing that?
I
I
think.
think. Oops, sorry.
Go ahead, Nick.
I think technology has created an issue for a lot of things, and in regards to relationships, like you said, a snap of a finger, you can be talking with another person, from quite frankly anywhere in the world, and you can be talking with them, getting a relationship with them at the same time. But I think technology is more affected towards adolescence, people of adolescence age group, um,
Rather
probably
than the older.
12 to 18, rather than the older generation. Because you got to think back in like 1970s, 60s, 50s, it kind of that area.
My grandfather has a phone. He doesn't know how to use it. If he wanted to download Snapchat, he couldn't if he wanted to.
Like really, like back then, if you were in a relationship, you were with them at
Yeah,
least from 6 p.m. to whenever you went to bed, or when you wake up, because there was no video games, TV,
exactly.
anything. You were talking with them, having a conversation with them, with
Face to
someone.
face.
And I think that's why people who are how you talk about your grandma, so they've been together for 40 years, 50 years, 60 years, whatever. It's because all they did for God, like 4 hours, 5 hours a day is talk to each other. Literally all they did. They had nothing else to do.
Yeah, the way I see it is like the human race is a gun, and technology is just the bullets to put in it. Because I mean, is it really the is the bullets at fault, or is it the gun that's shooting them that at fault? Is it the person that's cheating and doing this, the person to blame, or has technology just switched up on our minds that much that it's become something so common?
Yeah, I don't I don't think that it's the technology at all, because technology is going to evolve even without, the person being behind it. I think that it is the human race, because there are some people that that can live without their phone. There are some people that don't even upgrade their phone to
Exactly.
be able to partake in some of the things that that we do today, like Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok now, Twitter, all of those things. The human race itself is are the ones to are their own downfall.
The worst enemy.
Exactly, because the technology is going to evolve. The technology is not the enemy. The technology isn't typing for you. The technology isn't texting that person that you want to cheat on. You know,
Exactly. Yeah, I
Yeah,
feel
I
you
get what you're
100% there.
saying. It's like, sorry, I get what you're
No, go ahead,
saying.
Nick.
It's the same thing how people talk with guns are bad, but it's not the gun, it's the person. It's the same thing of how, in regards to technology, is how they're not the technology. The phone isn't texting another woman; it's you texting another person.
Hey, you've just
But
been handed it, but somebody's got to shoot it.
yeah,
hmm
and I feel like it's definitely. I won't say it's the technology's fault. I will say it's a huge influence on the situation. Absolutely.
definitely an influence.
But that is where I disagree with you a bit. I mean, as much as I think humans have, they're the ones doing it, I do think technology is partially at fault, because technology's given us that ability. Because I mean, the human race, there's rules all over the place. Why? Because rules are always broken.
hmm
You give humans a car that goes 120 miles an hour. Some person's gonna go 120 miles an hour. Does the speed limit say you can't? Yeah, but they're gonna do it because they've been given the ability to do that. by what's been placed in front of them.
Yeah.
But so has technology changed the human brain so much that it's just made it like so-called the norm?
Say that one more time.
Has it became like the norm? Has this technology just evolved in humans so much that it's created this kind of behavior to be normal?
That's good.
Because it seems just so often that this kind of stuff occurs. I mean, how many songs do you know are songs about somebody's heart being broken or somebody being cheated on?
A lot.
A lot. I mean, is it just something that's that common now? Because it seems like so many people listen to these songs, like so many people can relate to it. It's like it's something that everybody's gone through, at least at one point in their life.
Yeah. Yeah. And I definitely think that yes, it's the technology. But it's I think they both play hand in hand at the game here. It's partly technology, but then it's also the human, because the human's the human's heart has been broken, but then technology influenced that heartbreak. They are going to they what was I saying? Yeah, so the human is going to post that on that technology device so that it can be posted to other people.
Exactly.
And the other people are going to listen because it relates deeply with them. It resonates with them.
They relate to it.
Okay.
Everybody wants that relation with somebody or something. I mean, that's where
Exactly.
relationships and love comes from. You want to relate with somebody, you want to click with them.
Yeah. Okay, so we talked a good bit. I think that we really established the points that we were trying to cover, and actually, like 2 more points I think that we added on here at the end here. So that's going to be that's going to be the end of the Firing Excellence podcast for this episode. Episode 2 should be coming out here soon. So we do appreciate you all. We thank you for your support, even though we don't have any subscribers or any of that. Even though we don't have those, we know that there are going to be some that are watching, and we just want to thank you in advance. The support is really it's really, come on guys, help me out. Can't think of
Appreciate
words right now. It's really appreciated.
And if there's any topics that anybody wants touched on, I mean,
Yeah.
Just reach out.
If there are any topics or anything that you guys want us to talk about, that you guys want us that you
Kind of
want
debate
to hear
about,
our
yeah.
opinions about, and debate about, then go ahead and post that in the comment section. All of our social medias are going to be linked down in the description below, so you can do it from those social medias, but it's really recommended that you post that in the comment section on YouTube. So thank you guys for participating in this debate, discussion even. Your input is really great, and that's going to be the way that we grow this channel.
Until next time, I mean, maybe there'll be another topic and we could bounce back to this one, or maybe we'll continue with this topic. I mean, relationships and love is I think a huge topic to cover. And there's a lot of debate, and a lot of people have different thoughts on it. But in general, I just think it's a large topic to cover. I mean, there's so much that has evolved, like Nick was saying. I mean, you have grandparents that have, loved each other for 50, 60 years, and now you have people, divorcing after 10 or 20. I mean, what has changed in the time span that has caused this is just really something to look at. And technology, I think, is a big factor.
Yeah.
So it's a lot to look into.
Yeah, so we're gonna save the rest of our input for the sake of the video. We don't want it to be too long, but we also wanted to cover our thoughts and basically just give you guys what we wanted to say to you guys and what we thought about the topic was. So, like I said, drop a comment down below if you like the video. Drop a comment down below if you have any suggestions for the newest videos that we're going to be posting. Drop a like, subscribe to the channel. This is just so that we know that you guys are enjoying the podcast and you guys are enjoying the stuff that we produce for you all.
And real
Social
quick,
media links will be below.
Go ahead, Nick.
one thing, share the video, copy the link. When you go on Snapchat to cheat on your girlfriend, then maybe send that one girl the link to her video. I think they'll definitely like that.
Yeah. And if you work in a retirement home, hey,
don't
trip
step
over
on
that,
the oxygen
oh wait,
cords.
yeah, don't trip over the oxygen cord while you're watching the video, okay?
Yeah, don't kill that grandma that's been in a relationship for 60 years over yours. That's only gonna last 10.
Exactly. So thank you guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for leaving that like. Thank you for leaving that subscribe. And thank you for commenting down below. We love you guys so much, and we'll see you later.